5 different sets of instructions. We've got to know which controller mapping they have, all of those things. No one in our study even attempted to change their controls. And in fact, in my experience testing games for 7 years, only a very, very, very small percentage actually even do it in the first hour of gameplay. It's usually a thing that they come back later or they're more experienced. Also, if someone does change it, then just don't provide the instructions, because that type of gamer is your more hardcore gamer who is more tolerant to struggling with those kind of things. Next point is successful execution once doesn't mean that they've got it figured out. 2 things with this. One is that when players get into the game, the first thing to do is mash all the buttons to try and start figuring out what things do. So they may have triggered something that you think shows that they learned behavior. They haven't. They're just playing with the controller. The second is that they learn it once, but then they forget it. And this will happen if you have long periods of time without using that task. That's why in the Nintendo games, that's why you get the slingshot, and your next 10 tasks have to do with using that slingshot. So be prepared to repeat instructions. Just some other quick considerations, and then we'll wrap up. Difficulty settings. What should be your difficulty settings? When in doubt, err towards easy. And the reason for that is whenever the participants in our study were given a choice of difficulty level, so the game popped up and let them choose, everyone chose the easiest level. Again, the biggest reason they gave, I just want to get in and get a sense of what the game is about. They're not necessarily playing the game to get a sense of the challenge ramp. Although I did have one participant who went back later, did a race on easy, won it pretty easily, went back later, upped the difficulty then to get a sense of the challenge. But if you're going to make a mistake, I would say err on the side of easy. And again, any restart is a chance for the player to abandon the game at that point. And that's why death in a demo does make me a little bit nervous, because it's a great point for people to exit out of the game. I will say, though, that death with progress was a bit more tolerable. I had a clip, and I couldn't find it, where a person basically said, "Oh, I'll give it one more try to see if I make it further than I did last time. If not, I'll quit." He made it further than he did last time, and he played to completion of the demo. But had he not, you might have lost that customer. Related to that, get the player back into the game quickly. They are very, very intolerable to sitting through long cutscenes or having to reprogress back through to get into the game. I would say that may carry over into games in general, but in demos, it's definitely the case. Call of Duty 3 has 40 seconds at the beginning where the sergeant's talking to you and helping you get over the wall. Every single player who had to sit through that a second time complained about it and sat there mashing their buttons. Again, it's just the longer you make them wait, you're just increasing the chance that they're going to get up, that they're going to choose to just exit out at that point. Or they die and they think, oh, I don't want to sit through and go through everything that I just went through to get back here. And finally, game-specific issues. I've been talking at kind of a high level, and the reason for that is that we tested a lot of games, and we try to abstract kind of those principles. And a lot of them, to be blunt, are just good design principles. There's probably not a lot in here that's necessarily revolutionary, but hopefully it serves as some things to think about when you make your demo. But there were way more issues that were related to specific tiny decisions, design decisions that were made in the game. It's difficult to capture these when you're a development team because you're so close to your game. You've been playing it for so long. The only real way that you're gonna capture these issues is to get a fresh perspective on it. Bring in someone. Obviously, I do this in a professional capacity, but if you can't get it done in a professional capacity, find a friend of a friend. Sit them down in front of your game. Watch them play before your demo goes out the door. Don't help them at all. If they're struggling, sit and watch and understand why they're struggling. What problems are they having? The moment you start helping them, they'll go, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I don't know what I was thinking. And then you'll think that the problem doesn't exist when it does. It's also good to run it with several people so that when you see an issue once, you don't overreact and start correcting things until you've run a few more people and you get a sense of, yeah, this is a real problem. This isn't a problem. So get them into play, your demo game. Get them in early. Don't wait until the thing's done. The earlier you get them in, the sooner you're going to know what they're going to struggle with. If you have a prototype together, and you bring in your target audience, and you have them sit down and you watch them play the game, you're going to learn, hey, you know what, they picked up movement with the thumbstick, they picked up the A and the X button, but this other concept that we have, that's what they struggled with, so that's what we're going to really need to focus on when it comes time to do player education. So do it in a way that allows you to get ahead on the design. Don't wait for the whole game to come in and then do the testing, because it's just going to be more pain and misery at the end when you're already crunched. Again, I want to really, really stress here that I'm not trying to pick on an individual title, but there was one demo that basically showed, kind of brought together the kind of problems that we saw, and just, it just fit so well in a nice presentable form that I'm going to show it. And yeah, you'll see how it's the game-specific issues that end up really hurting you.
3, 2, 1,
Again, I'm not trying to pick on this. It just the clip was too good not to show. And that was we tested I think 4 different people on this demo, and that was everyone's initial experience with the game, unfortunately, or with the demo. Again, it's a lot of just small specific things that if you're close to the game you would have totally missed. Right there, the goal was, for those of you who haven't done it, there's a sign right there. It's a little hard to see right now. But there's a sign there that the user is supposed to crash into, that the player is supposed to crash into. The arrow is clearly pointing to the sign, and on the right-hand side there's fire. There's nowhere else to go but to hit that sign. And in fact, they put a big yellow crashing icon on it, but it actually fades over time, and then by the time I got the screenshot, it had faded, so that's why it's not showing up. And then the fading actually ended up hurting them, because as you saw, some people started to slow down to try and figure out what to do, and by then the icon was gone, and that didn't help them. But now, as you look back, it seems pretty obvious, especially when you see someone else do it. The arrow's there, looks like they're indicating a turn. That's the way users were perceiving it. Even worse, there's actually a road there. So when they start turning, they're reinforced that, yeah, that might be the right decision. It seems completely obvious, but think about your own game and spending 2 years in development. Even if you've got a QA tester, by the afternoon, they've already learned this stuff, and they've kind of forgotten completely about it. So again, it's just really important to get people in to play your game who are your target audience, or at least aren't you. Get them in early, often, watch what they do, listen to what they say. It's going to be a bit painful. You can imagine if you were the designer of that game or the developer of that game and watching a session, that would have been quite a painful process to sit through, but it's better to go through the pain before you release your game than to release your game and then go through the pain. Do that, and your game and your demo will be better off for it. And that's it for me. And that continues to come.
You talked about, or you showed, sorry, Hitman contracts.
Yeah.
Or Bloodline, sorry. And there was, if for everyone who's played the demo here or anyone who hasn't, it's the first level of the game, which